All right, so looks like we have Jane and Jennifer on. Can you guys hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hi, how are you?
Hear you.
Good. How are you guys?
Good, not too bad. Thank you so much for joining us.
Our pleasure.
So sorry it's a little late, but yeah, we're night owls, I guess, right? So, but yeah, so we've got Jane Cullen, who is the program manager, correct, with Park.
Correct.
Okay, and
Yep.
Jennifer Harmon, the preservation supervisor.
Yeah, that's right.
Excellent. Got it right. Of the park department at Orchards Children's Services. And, well, again, welcome. And I'll let you guys introduce yourselves and we'll go from there.
Okay. Jane, do you want to go first?
You go, Jenny.
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, best of three.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah. Hi there. I'm Jenny Harmon. I am the supervisor of the Post-Adoption Resource Center here in Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties. I've been with the program for the whole time it's been in existence, so almost 10 years this year actually coming up. And prior to that, I worked in adoption, getting adoptions done for children in foster care. So I've been in the field total for about 17 years and I love it. So I'm glad to be here and thankful to spread the word about Park.
That's awesome. 17 years, did you say?
Yeah, this year.
Time flies, doesn't it?
It does. I'm in a little bit of denial. It says a lot about my age, and I'm not. I don't like to admit that. But
there you go.
Are you ready for me? I'll go.
Yep, go ahead.
I'm Jane, and I work with Jenny in the Post-Adoption Resource Center at Orchards Children's Services. Jenny and I have been working together in the program since its inception, and I oversee the Post-Adoption Resource Center as well as one other program that is called the Adoption Resource Consultants Program. I have been at Orchards my whole professional career, except for a little stint before I moved to the Detroit metro area. And so I've been at Orchards now for about, it must be almost 25 years. And started out in foster care and had just the opportunity to move around. And so I've been able to do foster care adoption, supervise foster care adoption, training and recruitment, intake. I worked a lot in family preservation as well. So once I was introduced to Orchards, I always tell people I just felt so comfortable in the environment. I feel I am so lucky to have found a career at Orchards. And as I continued on my career at Orchards to find, to be working with Jenny in the Post-Adoption Resource Center in Wayne, Oakland, Macomb counties, it's just a program that Jenny and I love working in it. And then to add the Adoption Resource Consultant Program, which I think is just so necessary and just a great program to be involved with as well.
No, that is awesome. Yeah, no, I've nothing but good experiences with Orchards. I've done foster care for the last 5 years, adopted 2 wonderful kids, and yeah, and that's only been 5 years worth, and I absolutely love what Orchards does. And to that, I mean, you guys have been there for many, many years, so that proves that point. So, but yeah, so so we always love hearing how people got into your careers and how, any special stories or anything like that. I'll let you guys pick who wants to go first, but what, educational wise, or what got you into actually ultimately doing this as a career?
I'll go, Jenny. I sometimes think
Okay.
I found, my love for child welfare. I wasn't really sure. I grew up in Arizona, and I came to Michigan to finish going to college. Both my parents are from Michigan, so I was able to finish college and spend the weekends with my grandma, who lived in northern Michigan at the time. And I before, as I was going to college on my long trajectory, it took me a while. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And by the time I came to Michigan, I knew that I wanted to, work with people and children. And I love to talk and I love to meet new people. And so everything I knew about social work really, I thought like, wow, this might really be, something I'll enjoy. So I got my bachelor's from Central Michigan. Fire up chips for anybody
Yeah,
who's
that's
a
it.
a fan out there. And after graduation, I worked up north a little bit. And then I moved to the Detroit metro area. And I think about a year after I moved to the area, I started working at Orchards in 1997. That says something about my age, Jenny. So I and once at Orchards, I had great jobs, and I just got to experience so many different aspects of child welfare. And when I think about what really led me here is my family in Arizona. We were not by any of our other aunts, uncles, cousins, nobody. Everybody lived in Michigan, and family was just so important to us. And every time we came to Michigan, every summer we came for a month, and it was just the best time to be around this extended family. And when I was really young, my parents lived on a Navajo Indian reservation, and they were really impacted by kids being separated from their families by the Bureau of Indian Affairs. My dad taught at the boarding school on the Navajo reservation in Shanto, Arizona. And so they had stories that they shared of how hard it was to see older siblings separated from younger siblings. And I just had the, blessing of my family, a big extended family, and then our smaller unit in Arizona. And when I really came to Orchards and was able to work with families, I really kind of brought some of those stories of in that lens of what my parents observed in their, younger days living on the reservation, and knowing how important uh, family is. And so in foster care, really thinking about how do we reunite families safely, and how do kids have the best possible transition back to the biological family. And if they were not going to be reunified, then how do we support them to into adoption, and how do we support the families? So, and that's all. Every family is different. Every family looks different, is made up of all different types of people. And I think that's what's so wonderful about the work that I get to be involved in, is I get to meet so many different families that are all sizes and shapes, and made up of different types of parents and different types of youth and children. And it's just been every day I just am happy with the social work profession and the work that I'm able to do, and I think about the families that have let me into their lives, to meet with them and let me be a part of their family while I was working with them, and welcomed me in. And I'm so grateful for all my experiences and the opportunities I've had over the years. I guess that's a little bit about how I found myself um, at Orchards or in child welfare. The minute I landed in foster care, I thought this is a job for me. It's fast paced and it's changes every day. And there was something about the environment and just the kind of sometimes foster care gets crazy, and that was a really good match for me. So.
Yeah, perfect.
Jane, that's a hard thing to follow.
I was about to say, now you got to follow that.
I know. My story is not as poetic as Jane's. So no, I went to Oakland University. My plan was to be a teacher, and I needed an elective, and I ended up taking an intro to social work class, and I just fell in love with it. It was crazy, just eye-opening for me, like learning about, injustices and just so many things. It was super eye-opening for me. So I changed my major and went on that path. I did a really great internship with the Oakland County School District, working in the wraparound program, which was um, awesome, again, to get into homes and work with families and see families' strengths, that are just oftentimes not highlighted or not observed by the outsider. So that was really just an awesome and awakening experience for me. After I graduated, I applied for jobs like everybody else, and I got hired in adoption. So it wasn't something that I actually sought out, but it was something that found me that I was so happy that did. Interestingly enough, my grandmother was adopted, and so once I started talking to her about this, she opened up to me about her own adoption story, and she was adopted during the Great Depression. Her dad had left and her mom passed away when she was 5, and she had an older brother and a younger brother, and she talked about how there was different family members that were going to kind of divide up the kids, but then nobody would take the baby, who she said was, that's what she always called him. I don't know if he was a baby. I don't know if she even could remember his name, because she was young, and so nobody would take the baby during that time. And so then the adoptions all fell apart. So her older brother ended up in an orphanage, and she did get adopted by family, and the baby they never found. And so, even like as, it was really interesting to me always, for her to be, in her 70s and 80s, and she would always ask, like, is there a way to find him? And she would talk about him. And so it was really interesting to me to be in this field and to see how, the adoption experience, it never goes away. Those things never go away. Those are always so important to these families. So it's really a privilege to me working in this field to be a part of that, and to try to heal some of those wounds that she didn't have healed for her, that she still has thought about, and has lived in a way that has, been impacted by the trauma that she experienced, which she's shared. So I guess to, be able to help other people's stories, like not be like that, it's really neat, and it was one of those things, like I said, there was no specific reason I was drawn to this field, but now I realize like there was a reason for me to be in this field, so that was really neat. And so now that, my grandma has since passed on, but I have actually been able to get her adoption records, and because she was adopted in the 40s, so things were a little different. So I was able to get her original birth certificate and things like that. So that was really neat. So it's, there was, like I said, unfortunately, there was not like a nice story about why I fell into this field, but I feel like there was a reason for it.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to be here.
No, that's amazing. The common theme that we always hear doing all these shows is family, right? That's the goal, and it really hits home for a lot of people, and for you guys especially, and that's a driving force in this is it is about family. It's bringing them into a family, or finding a family, or reunification or whatnot. So that's it's I always love hearing these stories. So thank you for sharing.